Dupetas y Dupetas, today on Dupe by the River, we're going to talk about everything that's going down in Orlando. It's getting pretty crazy down there, and we're joined by a very two special guests here. So let's get this started, guys. We are joined live with
the Cooligans!
All right, welcome everyone to Dupe by the River, the Philadelphia Union podcast brought to you by Philly Sports Network. And before we get started, do not forget to rate the podcast and subscribe to this podcast as well. We are your favorite Union podcast, so we will love your support there. Today, let me introduce you by my PSN panel here. First up, we got my man, Mr. Tim Lovinguth. The Slickback Eyes is looking fresher every week. Tim, what's going on, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I'm here. I still got all this hair. I still have one more week. I finally scheduled a haircut now that things are opening up around here again. So I was trying to get it before the tournament started. That didn't work out. That's all right. You know, maybe I'll put it up in a man bun when it's game time. But
oh my God, you're going to get killing us.
Right now it's slicked back. Then in a few days it'll be all cut off. So I'll feel back to normal.
It's all good. We're loving it here. We're loving it here, man.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, and I'm also joined by my man. This guy has continuously been killing it week in and week out with the writing. My man, Mr. Matt McClain, the Clanner, man. What's going on, Matt? How you feeling?
Pretty good, man. I'm excited for our guests tonight, and just ready to get some soccer on tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
Let's get started.
Yes, sir. That's right. Soccer is back, ladies and gentlemen, in America. We got soccer in America, and your Philadelphia Union are back in 2 days. On July 9th, we will be facing off against NYCFC at 9 in the morning. And today, to preview the match, listen, we have for you guys the absolute great guests here today. They are leading the way of American soccer podcasting. I'm joined today by the gullies of the gullies, Christian Polanco and Alexis Guerreros. You guys know them as the Soccer Cooligans. What is going on, guys? Thank you for hopping on Dupe by the River, man. It's really a true pleasure and an honor to have both of you guys. So what's going on?
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for having us on, man. Yeah, we met in person in Philly, last year, and it was great, incredibly welcoming. You guys are great, and you guys got a good thing going out there.
It's a lot of fun. I see a lot of fun being had out there. I enjoy it.
Now, I mean, actually, what a lot of people don't realize is the way I got in contact with the Cooligans was my wanting to try to grow the Latino fan base here in Chester and the Philadelphia area in general. And it was really dope that both of you guys really, took the time to mention me on your podcast. And it really has helped. We've grown our population. A couple weeks ago, we actually had our first ever Union Latino Roundtable, which was a success. So,
that's huge.
Absolutely. So a lot of that has to do with, what you guys have done for me. So I'll be forever be in debt to you guys. So I'm so glad
the food at that meeting must have been incredible.
I don't even think there must not really been a meeting. I bet you it was just a dinner. You know what I mean?
Puro pastelillos, tamales, arroz con frijoles. Nah.
When we're done smoking hookah, are we going to do this meeting? And they're like, nah, this is the meeting.
We're playing Bad Bunny and yeah, we're doing it. Awesome stuff, guys. So we got the Gully squad out here. So let's talk a little bit first about what's going on down in Orlando. If no one has heard, it's getting pretty crazy down there. Or the corona cases are rising down in Florida. They are leading the way in the United States, which is not a good thing. Which actually, they took the pressure off my guys, Christian and Alexis, with New York. They were like in the lead for most of the time here in America when the coronavirus was prevalent. But it's getting pretty serious. And of course, all our teams are down there in Florida in a bubble, which is good that they're in a bubble, but still is a little worrisome. And Carlos Vela announced Monday afternoon that he will not be attending the MLS is Back tournament, which is kind of a big, it's a big blow, but as a human being, you gotta understand where he's coming from, especially with his wife being pregnant, and then of course FC Dallas, the team in total pulled out. 10 players got caught got tested positive with the coronavirus, so they have decided to we're not going to do this tournament here. So I wanted to ask you guys. You guys are all passionate American soccer fans. So what the hell what do we think about this? This is wild.
I'll start by saying I think this is actually a positive. Like if Grant Wall's tweet is to be believed, the other teams kind of got together and voted FC Dallas off the island. You know what I mean? Because apparently they didn't follow local protocols or really the more stringent protocols. It seems to be like it was an FC Dallas issue, and everyone else was like, yo, we don't feel safe with them here. It's probably best for them to go home anyway. Why be here? If you're going to be sick, go home. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I think if they did a test of everyone outside of FC Dallas and Nashville, and only one player came up positive with coronavirus, and it was shortly after they showed up. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a Columbus Crew player. So at the end of the day, I think the bubble seems to be working. I mean, you'd want them to say, hey, this team from Texas who, has lax laws didn't sort of do a good job of keeping themselves safe, so they should go home. I'm with that.
Yeah, look, it's unfortunate, but we saw it already with the Orlando Pride in the NWSL tournament, and that's how it's going to go. Obviously, in these scenarios, health is more important than soccer, so that should be the priority. And having seen what happened in New York with all these cases and all these deaths, everybody needs to take it seriously. It's unfortunate that FC Dallas won't be involved, but there's more important things, and we'll focus on the rest of the season and how it's going to happen after the tournament is over. But I still think it's going to be entertaining.
Oh, absolutely. Tim and Matt, what do you guys think over there?
Yeah, I think what you guys said about the NWSL and Orlando Pride to be a major factor in what happened with Dallas, as to why teams kind of got together and the MLS said, okay, no, you guys need to stop. And then FC Dallas was like, no, but you're right. Like, if we look at the way that was handled with NWSL and everyone kind of like looking at, who are the players that were going out and doing these things? Like, MLS did not want that. So I think that them coming together and the teams kind of all banding together as well and being like, no, like, we don't want this problem here, so let's get them out for now, and so they can be safe. I think that is a great factor for this.
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring up too.
I think the real shame is that they were going to have an advantage because they're used to not playing in front of fans. You know what I mean? So they were the most prepared for this tournament. When you think about it, they were the most prepared. So it's a real shame.
Is this a home game? What's this?
I know. You're like virtual stadium? Bro, I was raised in a virtual
Oh, man. What about you, Matt? What's your thoughts on what's going on with Vela and FC Dallas in this tournament?
Yeah, I think Vela, you kind of can't blame him because obviously he's got the pregnancy. And I think that was a lot of concerns in the union, too. They just had some newborns. With some of their defenders, but they decided to make the trip. But in terms of Dallas, I think I'm agreeing with all of you guys here. But it sounded like the commissioner and the league kind of had this in mind, like it might happen. So they were going to just be prepared to roll with it. And I think they did it pretty smoothly.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully this does go smoothly down in Orlando. I kind of wanted to, ask you, Christian, Alexis, what was it like, being in New York during this whole pandemic? You hear on the news what's going on, all the deaths, and it seems like New York was the hotspot before Florida and Texas. But kind of what was it like over there?
It was bad.
Really bad.
It was very, very bad. Look, I've said this a bunch of times. I mean, March and April of this year were the two of the most depressing months of my life, where like my Facebook feed was I had a friend or somebody like pass away or their parent God. Or something. Like, it was just, when I see these people, these videos like, yo, don't tell me to wear my mask, and these flipping out, losing their minds. I'm like, wow, you really don't know what you're about to experience. So, look, I just keep saying it. I'm like, we've already seen it. There's too much, even like, I'm not a scientist or whatever, but I have too much anecdotal evidence of people who are telling me who either had it or know someone who had it or lost someone because of it. So I'm like, that's all the evidence I need. I don't care how many conspiracy, whatever, my rights. I don't need to wear whatever. Like, I'm just trying to live, and I want to make sure people in my life are okay as well.
Yo, New Yorkers know things.
My wife is a nurse here in New York City. So imagine what she saw. And she saw shit that hasn't even hit the news. Like, stuff they're just not telling you. Like, she watched people die in some of the most horrific ways that you die from this disease that they're not covering on the news. And all these people saying, and by the way, it's still happening today. So everyone's saying like it's weaker now. People don't die from it. Not only are people dying from it, it seems to be getting younger, and it's people without pre-existing conditions. Right. There's a guy from Broadway who had to get his leg amputated and still died 90 days without seeing anyone. Only in the last 3 or 4 days did they allow family members in to see him. I mean, and this guy was the epitome of health, 0 pre-existing conditions. Nothing was wrong with him. And they thought, oh, it'll just go away because it seems to have affected his lungs, but no worse than everyone else. And little by little, it affects. I mean, to me, watching people scream about not wearing masks is like watching a tourist play 3-card Monte in New York. It's like, you ain't from here. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't lived enough. You ain't seen it. I know you about to get got. You don't know you about to get got. And if I tell you, you're not going to listen to me because you think you could win. It's just like, it's like that little bit of like, and I'm not saying like, oh, because we're from here, we know more. But in this case, we saw what happened. I stayed home. I've been out like 4 times. I'm not doing it. This thing attacks Latinos, fat people, high blood pressure, black. My grandmother's black, Chinese, right? My great-grandfather was Chinese. Bruh, I'm the demographic for this disease. I'm not getting it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I knew I was going to die laughing on this episode. Oh my God. No, but like, just like seeing the evolution, like you said, like with this coronavirus, like, we thought that, athletes weren't going to get it. And then you see Rudy Gobert, and Donovan Mitchell get it. And then you look over in Europe, Paulo Dybala is getting, like, soccer players were getting it. And then they said it was only old people, and then it started getting younger. And now I'm seeing like teenagers starting to get it. So it's definitely something serious. And,
Paulo Dybala's symptoms were making annoying TikTok videos while he had coronavirus.
And you figured he wouldn't get it because he's always wearing that mask. You know what I mean?
That mask didn't work.
What the fuck? Well, come on, man.
Is this an N95?
Oh, they said don't touch your face. They did say don't touch your face. That's the problem right there.
It's the first one.
All right, awesome. So, well, I'm glad you guys are okay, and you're able to see your NYCFC play in this tournament. But obviously, we are here to have fun. But we got some business at hand. It's Uni versus NYCFC again. Meeting up in this crazy ass tournament. And listen, over the past couple of years, Union fans and NYCFC fans know these have been some heated ass matches. Going down to Chester even last season, like, oh my God, you could feel the tension between 136 and 130 or 133 and 134. I'm sorry, between NYCFC section and the Union section. What I want to kind of know from you guys, obviously here in Philly, we don't really know much about this new 2020 NYCFC squad. Obviously you guys got rid of, we didn't get rid of, but you guys got a new manager. Dome Torrent is not there, which I actually thought that he really did a fantastic job with you guys. Last season, we all remember how they started and how they finished. He did a fantastic job. And now you guys got this new manager, Ronnie Delia.
Ronnie
Deila. Thank you for that. Kind of, you guys want to hear from you. What should we expect from this brand new Ronnie Deila NYCFC squad?
I'll start with, I think the biggest concern is the first NYCFC played 2 or 3 matches, I don't remember, for the beginning of the season, and they did not look great. They're still kind of figuring themselves out.
But they look good in CONCACAF, though.
They look good in CONCACAF against a very weak Costa Rican side.
Okay. Well, not in front of the Philly people, okay? We look good in CONCACAF. Scare them.
But I was at the match against Tigres, and that was the last public event that I went to. And NYCFC did look okay against Tigres, which is they lost 1-0, but it's still something. I think if they could have won that game easily. But yeah, my biggest concern is the relationship with the players and the coach, and figuring out what system exactly they want to play. I don't think they've I guess they've had a lot of time to not a lot of time to train, but they've during this time, hopefully he has gotten that philosophy towards his players. But yeah, that's my biggest concern, because the roster itself is pretty much the same roster that Dome Torrent had. So they're outside of a new player, a Uruguayan player that they got. There's not too much difference. So hopefully, I think this game is going to look similar to a lot of NYCFC and Union matches.
I actually think that, this is good for everyone, but in particular, positive in the sense that something like this COVID break has given people an opportunity to really learn the systems they're in. And I think for NYCFC, that's going to be even better. I think when you look at Philly understands the way Jim Curtin wants them to play. And Jim Curtin understands exactly what to do in the certain moments, right? He's been there for a long time. If you look at Ronnie Dyla, relatively new. I think when we saw them, we were in Costa Rica for that match. And I think when we saw them in Costa Rica, it was kind of like still like, I think they're kind of figuring out what they're doing. To Christian's point, San Carlos isn't exactly the strongest team, but they did give them some trouble. But, it looked like NYCFC was just sort of banging on all cylinders. When it got to playing in MLS, things were different. I think the way Ronnie Dyla would like to play is sort of like very Eredivisie style. Like for defending, we'll figure it out. Everyone run forward. Your defenders are your last attackers, and it's a lot of passing. And I don't want to say it's gegenpressing, but it's pretty close to it.
We went from talking about NYCFC tactics to Houston Rockets playbook there.
Yeah, exactly. Right, dude. Someone grow a beard, dude. I think when we look at NYCFC, the question I have is, can they sustain that style, A, in a bracket, and B, against what happens to be a pretty physical and defensive league? I'm not 100% sure, but there are some players like a Maxi Morales and even guys like Gideon Zalalem who are on the team that people forget he's on there. That guy was a superstar for Arsenal in a preseason not too long ago, and it slipped. Can he find that level again? Maybe, and if he can, he's a hell of a passer, and he's really good with the ball at his feet. So, I mean, there could be some danger with a team like them if they can sort of get that figured out, how to transition from the midfield forward, and what happens when they don't have the ball.
Do you guys foresee anything happening between the players that have been there and then maybe a new coach trying to impose something new? And then they might be thinking, well, if it's not really broke, why try and fix it? Or do you think it's more just pros wanting to learn from a new coach?
I think I think they brought in Ronnie Dyla because he fit in the playing style that NYCFC has. I think Claudio Reyna and the current sporting director, I think they're following the style that works for them. I mean, even games against the Union struggle playing against NYC sometimes because of their possession. They just hold on to the ball so much. And Union players get frustrated that they just can't create too many chances. So I think in this what bracket style in this group, I think I would say the Union and NYCFC should leave the group. You have to favor them. But
we all agreed on that one. Yeah.
But I think they'll, I think this first game is going to really say a lot. I think we won't really know. Everyone has had the same exact layoff and under lockdown. And psychologically, I think it'll just be uplifting for them to get to play competitive soccer again. But it's hard to say what it's going to look like in this first game because it's going to be difficult for both teams.
Yeah, watching the European leagues, obviously like Bundesliga and the Premier League, what I noticed from the returns is that the teams with the stronger players, the top teams, obviously, they definitely, really didn't miss much. They didn't miss much of their form since the return back, and the teams that were a little bit weaker did not look good. So I think that, obviously teams like us and like you guys who were strong last season, and they're good teams. Like both NYCFC and Philadelphia are good teams, so I think that they will succeed in this tournament because of that. What you said on your point there too. That possession really killed us when we faced NYCFC and a team like the Union who want to just counterattack all the time. It's super duper frustrating for sure, guys.
DOOP.
I was hoping the Fang would make the trip down there, and I hope he snuck on the airplane there. That's your boy. That's your guy.
That's right.
My guy.
He couldn't slither onto the plane.
I think there's two issues. The possession and in the past it used to be Ben Sweat totally fouling Ale Bedoya and never getting a card called on him or penalty. It's just like for some reason, Union do not get the calls when they play against NYCFC. I can imagine it must be frustrating for as a Union fan, but as an NYCFC fan, I'm like, hey man, them's the break sometimes.
Well, one thing though is that the Union have never ever won at Yankee Stadium. We ain't got Yankee Stadium this time, guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, virtually we might. The virtual there might be like a home plate. You know what I mean?
Unless they get this game somehow on one of the Disney baseball fields that are
Yeah,
right
right.
next to soccer fields, NYCFC might be warming up over there, and they're like, "Oh wait,
I started a change.org petition to move it to a baseball field.
I'm down with it, yeah.
I want to know from you guys, like, what's your guys' thought on the whole Yankees playing at Yankee Stadium? Like, obviously, around the league, everyone.
We love it. There's nothing wrong with it.
I know. I hope maybe you guys will get lucky and get a baseball stadium too. You know what I mean? Like, you guys stop messing about in that soccer. Look, it's not ideal, right? Like, nobody. When it happened, I was actually excited because, like, I don't think people around the country understand just how significant of a place Yankee Stadium is for New Yorkers. So for that, Pele played there. You know what I mean? Like, for that, right? And he was a terrible shortstop, by the way. For that, don't laugh at the bad ones. Come on. For that, that's important to us. Like, but yeah, 5 years later, all right, we did it. Yeah. Kind of experiment over is kind of the feeling. But at the end of the day, it's like, go find an apartment in New York and tell me that doesn't take you a few years. You're going to be living, sleeping on a piece of wood over a tub for 2 years looking for an apartment. This place is tough to find a home. So I don't foresee it being a much longer process. I think so many things have sort of, been rumored and leaked in the past year. But yeah, I mean, until then, dude, you got to make with what you got. Nobody wants to pay $12 for a beer. Nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we were just on a media call with Brad Sims, who's the CEO. What is it?
Yeah, he's the CEO. The president. He's the president.
President of NYCFC.
I'm the CEO.
Yeah, of course. I keep forgetting.
It's confusing.
But talk to me nice.
NYCFC deals with these questions as well every single time. They're
gotcha.
Like, why can't we just get some news about a stadium? Mm-hmm. And it's New York bureaucracy, is politics. The one interesting thing, and he had mentioned this as well, was that the lockdown and kind of the stalling of the economy is going to cause this rush of looking for jobs and new projects and just industries are going to kind of pick back up, and the stadium might be one of those things that could like revitalize the economy. So it may not be as far away as people may think, but yes, it's been frustrating. We just deal with it, and we just stay at the top of the Eastern Conference, baby. That's all we do.
Nobody wants to take a train underground fighting rats for a seat, okay? As New Yorkers, you deal with it. You know what I mean?
No, Alexis, I don't think they understand. These aren't rats. These are rats.
Yeah, no, these things look like they should have license plates.
Master Splinter out there. Master Splinter's real.
Jeez, the scooter the dude who delivered your pizza came on? That thing with a tail. Imagine that.
I mean, listen, unless you're like LAFC or Atlanta United, I feel like you're not happy with your stadium situation as far as MLS fans. Like, even here in Philly, like, we constantly hear, even from like the non-union fans, like the so-called 4-for-4s, they're always like, why do the Union play in Chester? Well, listen, there's politics behind it. And, it's not really cheap to put a stadium in Philadelphia these days. So, it's a situation, all league-wide. But kind of –
Wasn't there a rumor you guys were going to start playing in the Eagles? Is that the link? Is it the link, right?
Yeah, so last I heard last season, we were trying to play a rivalry match between either the Red Bull or DC United. I think preferably DC United, because that was our first ever match we played in our team's history. We played against DC United at the Lincoln Financial Field. I think they were trying to do that sometime this season to kind of see, is it true? Do the Union need to be in the Philadelphia confines? So, it's going to be a debate for, as long as the Union are in Chester. But, personally, me, and I think Tim and Matt can relate to this as well. When we're in Chester, and you guys saw it too, when we're in Chester, no one's bothering us. It's pretty peaceful. It's a family. Everyone's a family down there. You go down there, you're like, hey, what's going on? You want a shot of agua ardiente? Yeah, here you go. And, when you're in South Philly, you really don't get that same feel. Like, it feels a little bit kind of like, I'm out of jail, essentially. There's cops everywhere. People are kind of secluded in their own little thing at tailgates. So I'm not, I don't hate going down to the Subaru Park now to watch matches in Chester. So It's not a bad thing.
We had a great time there. And yeah, it was, we've gotten lucky and had that opportunity to go to several different MLS stadiums and see the supporters groups. And the one thing I loved about Union supporters that I didn't you don't know exactly what to expect, but we've met so many soccer supporters. Soccer supporters are generally like really cool, very chill, tend to lean liberal, kind of progressive and stuff like that. But Philly fans were Philly fans. They were cursing and swearing. They're kind. They're kind people, but they don't, when they as sports fans.
You don't want to piss us off, man.
Yeah. Something happens when Philly people hear a whistle. You know what I mean? It's like a switch. It's a switch. They start checking their pockets.
You're a bum.
They start checking their pockets for batteries. Like, is there anything? Are there any projectiles? Did I bring projectiles today?
You're lucky there's no snow in the summertime in Philadelphia.
Right? No, it's great.
Santa Claus.
I love it because every city gets to have kind of its own identity, but there is we've been to several cities, but there is nothing. There's nobody like Union supporters. There's nobody with the same like kind of grit and just attitude that they apply to all their sports. That's a Philly soccer fans treat soccer like just another Philly sport, and that's
beautiful.
And it's different in the other cities where people they almost have to like, this is special, like that's
our thing.
Well, you have to defend it, right? Because people are always making fun of soccer, but Philly Union fans are just like, nah, this is mine, bro. What I
love about Philly fans too is like when we were I thought we were going to get a similar experience in Portland, but Portland has a different, like, they're happy for their boys, they're upset at their boys. They're upset that the situation didn't turn out. Philly fans are angry at everything that's happening. Like, it's all of it. They're not even, it's the grass. I don't like the guy who cut the grass. I don't like the guy who served me this hot dog. Everything that happened is purposefully happening against you and a team you love, because the world is built for you guys to hate it. You know what I mean? Like, and I love that. There's something it's such an East Coast thing. Like, everyone talks about New York, everyone talks about Boston and those rivalries, and not a lot of people talk about DC, and for good reason, because it's kind of transient. Philly is the one that, like, everyone immediately knows. You mentioned Philly, it's like, oh yeah, no, don't go down there if you're an away fan wearing an away jersey.
Yeah.
It's not. No one's gonna kill you, but you're not gonna have a great time.
Yeah, like even in New England when we were at Gillette for a game, I was like, yo, these New England Revolution fans are very nice. These are sweet people. But Union, I'm like, okay, well, I know don't stare at him too long.
Well, like, did that baby have a knife?
That's so true. Like,
the stroller was by itself.
Yeah. I saw at one game, it was last year, I wasn't working it, so I went into the Sons of Ben section, and there was this guy in front of me, and he did not, it was against Orlando City, he did not like Nani at all.
Oh,
like,
God.
I don't know if there was something like that he did when, like, over in England or in a different league at some point, but he was just on him all game. And, like, we were near the corner, so Nani would hear him when he took corners. And after the game, Nani came up to the stands, and he started talking. They kind of went back and forth. And the one fan was just like, you know what? Fuck this. I'll be in the parking lot right now. You don't go on the team bus. I'll be back there, and we'll just settle this right now. And Nani was like, no, and they walked away. It's like, oh, well, why wouldn't you just, go out and settle it in the parking lot? That's a Philly thing. If you want.
Even if you lost, that's a proud moment in Philly sports.
Yeah. I will never forget that trip to Philly.
Yeah. Remember when Steve caught the fade from Nani? Yeah, Steve.
Exactly.
Guy's wearing an eye patch.
What happened? I got beat up by a soccer player. I don't know.
Yeah, it was amazing. Oh, dude. Have you met my dad? He got beat up by Nani.
That's funny, actually, because he had a kid with him, too, now that I'm remembering it.
Of course. He would have used the kid as a weapon. That's Philly.
Little Stevie, watch and learn.
Yeah.
Nani, come here.
He's swinging a toddler at me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we'll bust your chops here in Philly, but, listen, we do have a genuine love. Like, we'll bust your chops, but at the end of the day, we'll give you a hug and tell you we love you. But yeah, we're definitely interesting characters here in Philadelphia, to say
for sure.
All right. Next thing I want to talk about real quick, guys, is I want to get your thoughts on the rest of the group, because obviously we got stuck in that freaking weird ass 6-team group, which at first I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to be in the 6-team group. What if we get like all these good teams? But then
Look, I don't think they're. I forgot who's in the group. It's
you got
Chicago,
Miami, Chicago,
Inter Miami, Chicago,
Orlando,
and Orlando. Okay,
and Nashville.
So I think as far as Miami, they didn't look super comfortable in their games so far. I think they're still in a very they're in their infancy. Pizarro looks like the only one who's really. They basically get him the ball and
looks like Le'Veon Bell out there,
and hopefully something happens. Yeah, hopefully they'll pay him. Unlike Le'Veon. So yeah, I think there's I mean, I don't know who outside of NYCFC and Union or what's going to be like the biggest challenge. Maybe Orlando. I mean, Orlando always seems to struggle on but maybe the home Disney advantage will allow them to, and look, they're the one team that didn't have to travel really.
Yeah.
So maybe they will be a bit of a threat, but I think Orlando's just gonna Orlando per usual.
Yeah. I think I think it's similar to what you said before. I think it's honestly a race between the two of us. I think the first match will sort of set aside what the top of that group is going to look like. Inter Miami, I think, is a little scary only in the sense that, yeah, maybe Pizarro is the only one who really looks like he can do anything, but they're dangerous enough that all they have to do is get him the ball. You know what I mean? And you got someone like Roman Torres who's won MLS Cups before. So something like a tournament, something where essentially every game is a playoff game. In that sense, I kind of trust someone like a Roman Torres. I look at a backline that has him yelling at you, and I'm like, that's probably a good sign. And Luis Robles is no joke. That dude has been a showstopper since day one. I mean, that team has pieces. Can they put it all together? I don't think there's anything set in stone, but also Chicago could be kind of scary. I mean, there's a team that has been sort of embattled on their own, but you look at some of the players they have, including someone like a CJ Sapong. Like I look at CJ. Dude, exactly, which you guys know very well. Yeah. I look at him, and I always think of him as a big moment player. So coming into a tournament like this, especially with how outspoken he's been in the offseason, shouts to him being on our show.
Hell yeah.
I think he's sort of in that. If you look at a striker, they need confidence, right? I think he's in his most confidence I've seen him in a very long time. He's very out. He's very open. He's very ask me any question. He's very talks to the media. He's sort of presenting himself as like I'm the man right now. And I think at the end of the day, someone like that's going to get buckets. And if that happens in a tournament like this, they're a problem. I'm really interested to see how the first two matches go because I honestly don't know what's going to happen. But I do think at the end of it, it's going to be NYC with Philly right behind them.
People are really underestimating the entertainment value that this tournament is going to have. It's essentially it's World Cup style, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like do or die. These teams have a lot to play for, so it's going to be really entertaining. Tim, what do you think? How you feel about this group here?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Philly and NYC should be the top two. It'll be interesting to see who gets that third spot because Group A does get a third team through.
Yeah. And I get four, right?
Well, you could get four. You could get the
fourth
place team if they have enough points in goal difference, and however they'll do the tiebreakers for that. But yeah, I think Philly and NYC should be above the rest. Like we've said, there has been this long layoff, so who knows how everyone will actually react. But I think the main battle will be for that third spot, and I think Chicago has a really good case to take it. Like you were saying, CJ Sapong is kind of like the man right now, and if they can figure out ways to get him the ball and find his head, find his feet in the box, maybe he'll be able to net some goals. I know as Union fans, we've seen enough times where he will score the goals, but then other times where he'll just put it into the stands. So hopefully for him there that he gets to put a few in. I can say that because the Union don't play him in the group, so that's fine by me. But yeah, I think Chicago should be that third place team over Orlando because I think Orlando's going to Orlando. So yeah.
Orlando's going to Orlando.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt? How you feel?
First, I'm glad that I was not the only one that reacted to the Brek Shea signing like you guys did. I refreshed Twitter a couple times and wasn't sure I was reading it right.
There's some sort of error.
Is he going to work in the front office? Or,
I'm confused.
He's a marketing guy. Yeah. I think they'll actually finish third, though. I can just talk trash on them. I think they'll finish third. Chicago might battle for that fourth, and then Group A might just get four with Philly and NYC at the top. Obviously Nashville, I don't even know if they're going to play. They haven't trained since last Tuesday, I think. So even if they can play, what could they really do in a 90-minute game. I don't think anything, unfortunately for them. But I'll say Philly wins the group, and then NYC, Miami, and then Chicago. But then Orlando. Did I say Orlando? No, Orlando.
So Orlando after Chicago. So Orlando's going to finish 5th. Yeah, I mean, no one's giving love to Nashville. I mean, they still got to make their. So you're saying that they're still in Nashville, Matt?
No, they're in the bubble. They just haven't trained.
Yeah,
they haven't trained.
They have too many positive cases. I mean, I don't think they'll. Even if they do play, I don't think they'll have enough players to field 11. It's scary, and it's also we're sort of kind of what we were talking about before. We're sort of seeing the teams that came from states that didn't really take it very seriously, where their governors didn't take it super seriously. These are kind of the results. I mean, look at the Orlando Pride had to leave because Florida was not taking it seriously, and it was serious. So, look, again, safety is the most important thing. And if Nashville also has to drop out, like it's also strange to me that because FC Dallas dropped out, they didn't reshift the groups, and still kept the 16 group, which doesn't really make much sense. But
I think that's a sign that someone else is going to drop out.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Because they did say already some matches are postponed. So I think they're just waiting to be like, all right.
Yeah.
There's a reason we made a 6-team groups, because we knew some of y'all ain't making it. There's like Oregon Trail, a couple dysenteries. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's crazy crazy what's transpiring over the last week. Obviously we're going to keep an eye out what's going to happen as far as the rest of the tournament. But, again, we want soccer, but health and the safety of these players comes first for
That's
sure.
paramount.
Absolutely. Guys, any last words for the audience here in Philadelphia area, the Philadelphia Union fan base?
Well, to the Philadelphia Union fan base, at least we can. So this is coming out obviously Wednesday, so we can announce this. So you'll be the first people we are telling.
Okay.
We are going to be this year, for the rest of the year, we're going to be NYCFC's sort of quote unquote pregame hosts for the club, which is
my God,
a huge thing for us. Yeah, we're super excited. So we're going to be doing
congratulations,
basically like a show on YouTube before every match, kind of previewing the opponent. So we're going to be doing one for the Philadelphia Union, which will be available this evening before the game on Thursday. So if you want to check that out, I mean, it'll be the NYCFC's YouTube channel.
Okay.
But
which I'm sure you all subscribe to.
But feel free to check that out. Obviously, we're both stand-up comics. It's meant to be funny and very casual. So so check that out, please.
That's listen. I that to me, like, if I feel like I got that big news, like seeing you guys, being on Fubo TV and obviously doing this now with NYCFC, it's so huge. Where you guys came from, and it really, the American soccer community needs people like you two, like bringing the comedy, bringing some laughs and whatnot. Because let's face it, for soccer fans in America, especially in a city like Philadelphia, it could be, a little dark sometimes, when people like shun us off and whatnot. But having people like you two, bringing the smiles, bringing the laughter, it means the world. So congratulations, guys. That's really awesome.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, man. And you've always been super supportive and for a long time, man. It's really meant a lot. And it makes it easier whenever we do go to cities and we know people. We just meet everybody through Twitter, but everybody's especially in Philadelphia. We had never been there before, and the amount of love that we got was surreal. So thank you for
absolutely.
Yeah,
Christian, you know what it is? It's that, like, we are, we're not that big, compared to the other 4 sports communities. We're not that big, but like, especially my mentality is that, if I see someone out here grinding and trying to, put American soccer in a good light, then I will show support any way I can. I obviously don't have as big of a platform that you guys have, but if I could do anything, I will definitely, do what I can. So, we gotta look out for each other out here. These some rough streets, you know what I'm saying? So
we said it to you in the past, and I'll say it again. Like, when we started, there was a lot of people that showed up, but there was a lot of people who really didn't. And it wasn't because they're haters or anything like that. It's just, dude, I mean, you've been around soccer long enough. You see how many things start up and just don't continue.
Yeah.
So, like, us grinding it out, when we see somebody that we know is working hard, We want to help out. We just want to show them a little love and let them know, like, yo, we see you working hard. We're working hard, and we're going to help you build. Because when we started, not a lot of people were helping us build. And it's a beautiful thing what you guys are doing. And a community like Philly needs stuff like this. Dude, soccer from day one, soccer in America, it's been DIY. We've got to do it ourselves because these networks, the networks ain't talking about us. The radios ain't talking about us. Nobody was talking about us. We had to do it ourselves. Well, now that's what you want to be doing. You want to be doing podcasts and stuff. We were the first one, like, not Cooligans, like soccer was the first one doing the message boards and all that because we didn't have ESPN chatting about us all day. So I'm glad to see that y'all are picking up that sort of that baton and running with it.
Yo, Alexis had his Drake moment in the finals there.
Right?
None of this was here before we got here.
And the chips. With the dip.
Awesome stuff. Of course, guys, it's cheese sticks over chopped cheese. It is pork
Never
ham, and it is water over water.
And it's Taylor hams. Oh my God.
Taylor hams. All right, Tim. Any last words for the listeners here, man?
No, just let's get back to soccer. Let's get back to enjoying this. And, yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, at Philly Sports Network, we'll have you covered. We've been killing it this week, getting some previews out on all the groups and previewing the Union match against NYCFC, and we'll continue to do that. I know we have some fire interviews and other things coming as well that we can preview as well. So there's a little teaser for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, stay up to date. YouTube channel, obviously the DOOP by the River podcast. And also the articles up on Philly Sports Network. Stay up to date with that. Speaking of articles, Matt, you've been killing it with the articles. Any last words for our audience?
Just congratulations to you guys on that new gig. Gonna be tuning in. Hopefully you guys make it pretty outrageous and hilarious. So it'll be fun to watch. And then, John, to you, congratulations. You did your first Spanish interview.
Yes.
With Sergio Santos today.
Yes, that was
awesome,
fun.
Man.
So we're going to end on some good news.
Yes.
And watch some soccer tomorrow night.
Hell yeah, Philadelphia! Send me all the Spanish-speaking players you got. I would love to do more of that. It was a lot of fun. I don't get to use my Spanish too often these days, so it's definitely fun to get to use that. Other than with mom, when mom's asking me if I'm eating and whatnot. Yes, mom, I'm eating. Estoy comiendo. Estoy todo bien, ma. Todo bien, ma.
Ma, cálmate con la chancleta. Yo estoy comiendo.
Yeah. Tim and Matt knew exactly what he just
PTSD from that.
Got it, man.
Awesome stuff, guys. Thanks again to the Soccer Cooligans, and thank you guys for listening. Do not forget to rate the podcast and subscribe to the podcast to continue helping us grow. Ladies and gentlemen, I go by the name of El Parcero Philly, and I'm telling you guys to DOOP on. We will talk to you guys very soon.